So I don't know about you, but when I first began to read about self-driving cars, the first thing that popped into my head was not accidents, and not traffic congestion, and not even the fate of the taxi business, but I thought, oh my God, these guys are going to replace motels on the outskirts of town. And then I ran across this terrific article written by Andrew Clark, who writes for the Globe and Mail Cars section on
Thursdays.
What's it called?
Oh, Road Sage.
Come on out
Road
here.
Sage, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey.
So was your article called Sex in the Single Car or the Single Car?
It was Sex in the Self-Driving Car.
That's the subject of his talk.
Thanks, yeah. I'm the director of the Humber College Comedy Program, and for the last 5 years, I've been writing the Road Sage humor column for the Globe and Mail. And there's one topic that's grown exponentially in interest. It's incredible, and we just mentioned it. It's a self-driving car. I've never seen, it's the most important aspect right now in the automotive industry. Goldman Sachs says 2017 is going to be a watershed year for self-driving cars. Elon Musk, the Tesla CEO, says that one day people will be considered too dangerous to drive their own cars. And Ford CEO Mark Field says there will be self-driving cars on the market in 5 years. So what can we expect? Vehicles that are steering themselves, braking themselves, and accelerating. Vehicles that can pass that horrible slow-moving driver in the passing lane for you. Self-parking cars, which we already have. And of course, vehicles can actually negotiate a traffic jam. The easiest way to think about what a self-driving car means is the H mode, which actually means horse mode. That's the model for the self-driving car, the relationship between a horseback rider and the horse. The rider knows where he's going, the rider's in charge, he knows the destination. The horse is sentient, it can communicate with other horses, but if there's an emergency, the rider has to take over. That's been the thing that they've been trying to crack, and they've finally done it. So yes, self-driving cars are coming. Now, another topic over the 5 years that I've been doing the column that's remained of perennial interest to people is sex. Sex and cars go together, all right? Which is somewhat redundant because sex and everything goes together. You know, check the internet. But the car in particular has been a form of sort of self-expression. For instance, this car says this. And this car says this. Okay? These are my 4 cardinal pillars of automotive sex. We use sex to sell cars. We buy cars we think will make us sexy. We find people who find us sexy, and we have sex with them in our cars. And we're very disappointed that 1 to 3 do not normally work out the way that we wish they would. But that's the thing about the car. That's why it's interesting. You can use your car to attract someone, and then you can mate with your mate in the car. You can't do that in your Hugo Boss suit, all right? The car took its ascendancy in the 1920s. That's when it became the defining characteristic of North American culture. And if you look at this picture, if you see that little hard top on the roof of the car, that's one of the most important innovations in car sex history. Once they put the hard top on top of the car, our cars became rolling bedrooms. And young people took advantage of that in the 20s with an alarming rate. Flappers, they were always pictured smoking, drinking, or with a boyfriend in a car. F. Scott Fitzgerald, who epitomized the Jazz Age, wrote that the unchaperoned young people of the smaller cities have discovered the mobile privacy of the automobile. Okay? In all of his books, he equates his dream girl with the automobile. In This Side of Paradise, Isabel is driven around by boys who drive alluring red Stutzes. Nicole from Tender is the Night arrives at a hotel in a magnificent Rolls. Kathleen in The Last Tycoon drives a beat-up Chevy. And of course, Gatsby's beautiful Rolls Royce is a central symbol in his wonderful novel. Here's how Fitzgerald described it. It was a rich cream color, bright with nickel, swollen here and there with its monstrous length. Okay, we get you, F. Scott. Thank you very much. When Daisy drives the car, that's when Gatsby's fate is sealed because she gets into an accident. So when we look at the 1920s, cars epitomize independence, leisure. They're always associated with high living. They're liberation, particularly for women who can become mobile. And it's remarkable. In fact, they're commemorated in song. There's about a list of 50. I'll read a few. These are songs from the 20s celebrating sex and automobiles, or love as they would call it. Take me out for a joyride, take a little ride with me, baby, in our little love mobile, riding in love's limousine, on the back seat of the Henry Ford, going to park myself in your arms, 15 kisses on a gallon of gas. When he wanted to love her, he put up the cover, and of course, tumble in a rumble. All right. That leads us to the golden age of car sex, roughly 1950 to 1989. That's when I graduated university. It's interesting. It became a central part of the mating ritual for North Americans and people everywhere. I remember a whole health class in high school being dedicated to how to have sex in an automobile, and my teacher saying very emphatically, always make sure the exhaust pipe is clear or you will both die of carbon monoxide poisoning. It's at the point now where Switzerland in 2013 has actually spent 2.4 million Swiss francs creating what they call sex boxes, which it's basically a sexual brothel. It's a drive-through. You drive your car in, you're seen to by a prostitute, and then you leave. So it's like a car wash, but instead of your car getting cleaned, your wallet gets cleaned out and your libido gets kind of emptied or tuned up. All right? What do we know about car sex? Well, it's interesting. We are doing it. This is a recent survey. 23% of people fantasize about having sex in a car, but 36% have already done it. 48% say the car is the most exciting place to have sex, and they did a whole study at Rice University that found that men with sports cars are more attractive. I don't know why that was necessary, but there you go. These are Canadian demographics. The question was, have you made love in an automobile? 40% of Canadian men between 40 and 49 said yes, 36% of males 18 to 29, and 29% of women 18 to 29. Now, we're not only having sex in parked cars, we're having sex in moving vehicles already. This is a 2014 study. 33% of males had sex while driving, 9% of women as passengers, 81% gave or received oral sex, 13% had full intercourse while driving, 11% masturbated, and they were doing this at speeds of between 61 and 80 miles per hour. This is not good, right? This is not good. It's dangerous. 38% exceeded the speed limit, 36% drifted into another lane, 11% let go of the steering wheel. I think we know when that probably happened, and 2% almost hit somebody. Okay, so that's where we are. I want to return now to another innovation. For those of you born after 1990, it's called bench seats. They were in every automobile, and think of a bench seat as sort of a nice twin bed that was in the front seat. The bench seat made car sex possible because you could kind of go from this to like, very easily, right? So that's bench seating. So we have bench seating, but it was replaced. So you went from this, you can do it in this, to bucket seats. This is a challenge, as you can see. So what you have seen is a decline in car sex due to what I consider vile bucket seating. A lot of time is spent wondering, well, what do we find attractive? There was a recent survey of 2,000 people that found that women found men who drove pickup trucks to be most attractive, and men found women who drove sports cars to be most attractive, which makes sense because a sports car says, I'm fast, and a pickup truck says, I will never outsmart you. Let's just quickly look at advertising. As you can see, this is the 1960s. This is the formula for car advertising. Man plus car, in this case purple car, equals woman in underwear. Dangerous temptation in the 70s. Fully functional. This is getting into the 90s. A sexist pinnacle, I like to call this one. As you can see, a woman in a bikini next to a car, a man will buy it. All right, now we've also seen gay cars. This is new. This is the last 10, 15 years, the idea that a car can represent a sexual orientation. Car Talk, the NPR radio show, recently, or a year or so, did a whole list of the top 10 best gay cars. For women, it was the Subaru Outback, which was considered practical and sporty, and for men, it was the VW Jetta. And we've recently seen a gay car video game called Stick Shift created, in which the goal is to get your gay car to climax. The creator says there's no nudity, but there are a lot of hot, naked cars, big, swollen, exposed gear sticks, and oozing exhaust pipes. All right? Now, manufacturers are not dumb, and they are targeting the gay driver. I love this ad, Mom, Dad, I'm electric. So you're piggybacking environmentally aware cars with a gay lifestyle. Now, it used to be that you'd use a car to make yourself more attractive. This is from the 60s.
We've been going together for 3 years now. 4. Charlotte, will you be my...
Yeah.
My... Oh, my.
A gorgeous car. What is it?
It's a new Dodge Charger 500.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's the optional Hertz shifter.
Elliot?
Yeah.
Hey, where are the headlights?
They're hidden where the bumper loops around the grill.
Hey, these are new high-back seats.
Yeah. See how nice they fit?
My name's Sheila. What's yours? Elliot? That's a cute name. Bet it really rides smooth. Huh, El?
Why don't we find out?
Elliot!
1970 Charger 500. If you can cope with a whole new image, you could be Dodge material.
Okay, so we've now gone, though, from the car making you lovable to you making love to your car.
Che cosa guardi, eh? Che cosa guardi? Mi stai spogliando con gli occhi? Poverino. Non puoi farne a meno. Ti batte il cuore. Ti gira la testa. Sei perso pensando che sarò tua per sempre. The Fiat 500 Abarth. You'll never forget the first time you see one.
All right, which brings us to the future, self-driving cars. This is the Mercedes prototype of a self-driving car. It's the F0115. This is what they're expecting. As you can see, it's a car that can say thank you to pedestrians, that can let pedestrians know when it's okay for them to cross. It doesn't have a steering wheel. You can face forward if you want to. It is loaded with video screens. It's loaded with all sorts of connectivity. And they're expecting these kinds of cars to revolutionize things. For example, the automotive insurance industry will be completely transformed. It should eliminate numerous fatalities and injuries. It's going to reduce fuel consumption, exhaust. It's going to reduce congestion. They're predicting that we could gain 1 to 2 hours a day thanks to this kind of technology. And it's also, as Moses alluded to earlier, probably going to start a whole lot of people making out in their cars. Because this automobile is very much like a first-class airline seat. It's better than most apartments in Toronto. In fact, I think you're going to start to see people in the future voluntarily living in their cars because of the expense and because the car will be fully connected, okay? You can see that here we go. You're in there. You don't have to be at the steering wheel. You go by Star Trek land, and you can change and watch TV, and all the seats move backwards and forwards. Okay, here's an interior view. That's the cabin. Whenever I look at those three people, I think that they could be completing a business merger or ironing out the safe word for the next 18 minutes. I think that you're going to find people looking forward to their commute a whole lot more. And I really do believe that this is like bench seating. We are already making love in our cars while we're driving, and it's very dangerous. You're going to remove that danger. If I was you, I would leave and go invest in any company that makes tinted glass. Okay? The website Jalopnik is an automotive website that's already put it out there and said, you know, who will be the first to have sex in a car? And there's a precedent. Lawrence Sperry, the pilot who invented autopilot, in 1914, the same year, he invented the Mile High Club. He crashed a plane into the South Bay near Manhattan. When they fished him out, he and his socialite companion were both naked. They said that the impact of the crash had torn their clothes off. In fact, the autopilot had gotten knocked down. So, what does that mean? It means we should be careful. Here's an example of a self-driving car that they were demonstrating its parking.
Cuidado, José, cuidado, José. Sí, aquí mejor.
I would like to note that's the real unintended consequence, the self-driving baby boom. No one was hurt in that incident, although if the man who was hit by the car heard me saying that, he would be deeply offended, because he wasn't seriously hurt. But this is going to be the unintended consequence. In the same way that bench seating in the 50s and the 40s created the baby boom, I predict that self-driving cars are going to repopulate this great nation of ours at an alarming rate. So I look forward to the new dawn. Thank you very much, and thank you.
That was great, Andrew. I was very encouraged by what you said about men with sports cars.
Oh yeah, that's a fact.
And
absolutely.
Would you agree with me, there are sports cars and there are sports cars?
There are sports cars, and then there are McLarens and Lamborghinis and all those
Well,
kinds of
wait a
things.
second, wait a second. How do you feel about the DeLorean?
I would take that. I mean, I drive a minivan, so I would take anything at this point. You know,
I don't want to brag, but
a DeLorean would be splendid.
I've got one.
Nice. I'm coming over later.
How's my ranking?
I think you do all right, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think the DeLorean says, you know what, I'm broad in interest and yet grounded. I think it's a good car. I think it's a good signature car.
It sure has a sure-footed floor plate, doesn't it?
It's got good reinforcement, and
Goes like a bomb.
it does, and it can take you back in time, so what more do you want?
Aha. Do we have a picture of one such? Oh, a little crude technology.
Michael J. Fox not included.
That is my car.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Lovely.
Now,
That's great.
not to one-up myself, but give me a judgment about this next car.
Wait. Go, put it.
We got it?
Oh. Ah, that's very sweet.
I've got one of those.
Did you bring me here to rub it in, Moses?
I just want to know what my chances are.
I think you've been great shape, believe me. You're
That's
going to
great.
look forward to the new age.
All right.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay.